Hey everybody, how is it going? I'm going to walk you through and show you how to build your very own semi-professional modular puppet. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be insanely rewarding, and it's going to be more than just a toy. This is a tool. This is an insanely rewarding experience that you can share with loved ones. If you're a teacher, you can share with your class. You can do a fun project where, all your students create puppets. I mean, the applications are almost endless. And if you want to support the show, if you want to support me, you want to support a small business, please head on over to my Etsy page where you can purchase these patterns, okay? Now, this all looks very complex, but I promise you it really isn't, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step on how to go ahead and create your very own pattern. So we're going to go ahead and start with the heart of the puppet, the semi-professional modular puppet, which is the body. So this is the body that I use in my main puppet that you are going to be seeing in the Fake Crimes docuseries. And this is also the puppet pattern that I use for the NPC puppet that I sell on my Etsy page. Of course, link is in the description. So with that being said, what we're going to do here, once you purchase your pattern on Etsy, you're going to need to print it out. Okay, so everybody has their very own printer. These puppet designs or these pattern designs are meant to be printed very easily with just about any standard printer. I have a standard, very basic Brother printer. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and click on print. All right, so destination. So we're going to be using printing on my Brother HL L2340D. However, we want to go to more settings and scale. You want to have it as again, everybody's pattern, or I mean, everybody's printer is different. Default should be fine. But I'd prefer it would say something along the lines of like actual size. You don't want to alter this document in any way, shape, or form. So you want actual size or default. Because if you go to fit to printable area, it changes the size, which is not what we want. It scales it down a little bit. So if we go to default, that's what we want. Fit to paper, does this also change it? No, not really. But again, you want default. If we go to, let's see, printer, more specific print settings. If we go to more settings, all right, so this is the actual settings or the printing preferences from the actual printer software itself. So yeah, let's see, page source, first page, what do we want? We're looking for okay, so yeah, so it's going to be portrait. Let's go to advanced scaling. Again, we don't want scaling on, because if you change the scaling, fit to paper, or you just change you start changing these things, you're gonna get a pattern that's totally out of whack. You just want it to, again, actual size or default. You don't want to do fit to paper. You don't want to do stretch it out or anything like that. Okay, so I'm gonna click OK, and then we're gonna go ahead and click print.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna want to do once we have our printout, there's going to be the four main pieces that make up the foam and fabric pattern. So we're just going to go ahead and cut them out as neatly as possible. Alrighty, so now that we have all our pieces here, this is what the pattern will look like when we put it together. So this is part B, this is part A. Alright, so this is going to be our pattern, and I know it doesn't look like much, but this will make sense once we put it together, and once we glue everything together. I promise you this is going to make sense. And of course, the video is obviously going to be very instrumental in helping you get across the finish line and getting your puppet done. But again, I also did include some instructions here, and it's pretty helpful. It's pretty useful. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and stitch this guy together. We're just going to go ahead and use masking tape, okay? So again, this is generally what it's supposed to look like. Go ahead. Yeah. Alrighty. So it's okay if these black lines overlap just a little bit. What you want are these points to line up perfectly. So we're just going to do one side at a time. Alrighty, perfect. Alright, so this is pretty good. This is pretty even. This is going to be our fabric pattern and our foam pattern. Alrighty, so we have a more appropriate pair of scissors for cutting the green foam. This is going to be like the skeleton of the puppet. We also have this very, very, very sharp razor here. This is very, very dangerous, and this is a Persona super stainless blade, very, very sharp. Be very careful with that. And this little scissor here might come in handy. So essentially, what we're looking at, this is the back, literally the back of the puppet. This is the front of the puppet. This is its side. This is the side of the torso. Right here is the neckline. All right, so this is all going to make sense. So we have some pattern weights. We're just going to go ahead and set these guys down. Oh, let me realign this really quick. This is pretty good. Alright, this is perfect. Okay. Let's go ahead. Put down these patterns strategically. So this is somewhat of a brand new piece of foam, so I'm utilizing these straight edges here on the side. Go ahead and start marking this up. We're going to cut that out. Okay. So now in order to get the full skeleton of the puppet, we're just going to flip this guy over. And again, we're going to want a little bit of overlap right here. And we want some continuity on this neckline. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and mark this up. So right here, gonna be our neck. We're gonna just type in or write in a little N here, and then right here, this is gonna be our glue line. As a matter of fact, does so right here on our paper, okay? Where this needs to be glued. Put B for back. So we know what we're looking at, okay? So this is our back side. This is our front. Put a little F here. This is our neckline. Go ahead and cut this out. This. We had a little bit of roughness right here, but it's not a big deal. Alrighty, So this pattern is pretty much done. The skeleton is pretty much done. All we have to do is glue it. We'll get to that in a minute. With this extra foam, don't throw this out. We're gonna be using this foam later on. So yeah, just to give you a quick recap of what this is gonna look like. So again, like this. This is gonna get. Oh, you know what? I lied. This does not get glued. We do not glue that. All right. So, what these sides do, these get glued together. It's going to be really, really simple. All right. So this is essentially the body. We're going to pinch these together. The back will be glued. You're not going to see any of this, by the way. And then this side, the sides are going to be, glued together right here. And you're not even going to notice any of this yuckiness. It's going to be just one solid piece, and it's going to just stand on its own. Plenty of space for most arms to fit through. And yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't look like much, but this is the skeleton, and this is a pretty robust design. It's just one piece, so it's going to be relatively tough. And again, we're not wasting any of our excess material here. And yeah, again, super simple, very, very clean. And you're really, really going to like it. And this is all going to come together very, very nicely, very, very soon. All right. So with that being said, yeah, the Persona blades make really quick work of this foam. I used to do this with scissors, and then I would just cut around it. But so it was kind of instinctual to go to this, but it's not really necessary. If you got Persona blades and you got to cut out anything inside of a foam piece, use this. Just be very, very careful. This is incredibly sharp. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the fabric pattern because it is relatively the same. All right, so we're going to use our pattern for the foam body on the fabric pattern, and we're using anti-pill fleece to make this is basically the skin of your puppet. So if you're going to be making a puppet that's like a replica of yours, you want to have a fabric color that matches your skin color, or maybe you want more like a Sesame Street style Muppet, where like they have purple skin and like an orange nose or something silly like that. Which again, you can do whatever you want. This is your puppet, your choice. I'm using this for demonstration purposes. I apologize. We should have used brighter colors because they're more vibrant. But that'll come later. Anyways, what do we do? Okay, so we have our skin here. This is anti-pill fleece. You can, of course, use blizzard fleece, which is an excellent option, of course. The thing with anti-pill fleece is there's technically usually two sides depending on the quality of the fleece material that you get. One side looks kind of flat. It kind of looks featureless. And then the other side, very, very fuzzy, very, really smooth, really just looks really, really good. This is the side that I want to show to everybody. This is the surface of the skin. This is beneath the skin. However, it is your choice. If you want this to be what people see, you can, flip it around, and then this will be on the inside of the puppet. However, I again, personal preference. Me personally, I like the nice side of the fleece. So we're gonna flip this around. We're gonna set up our pattern like this. All right. So there's a few things that you need to be mindful of. One, the bottom portion of the skin gets tucked into the actual skeleton of the puppet. I'm going to show you that in a minute, okay? So don't worry about it. Don't ask questions yet. Just wait and see. Okay? And much like the foam pattern, we're just going to flip this over again. When we are marking the skin of the puppet, I like to use a fabric marker, or you can use like a Sharpie or whatever you'd like, that is very similar to the color of the fleece. So depending on the fleece that you have, the quality of the fleece, etc., or maybe you might have a defunct marker. If you have bleed through, you could ruin your fleece, and not everybody has a bunch of fleece lying around. So in the event that happens, if you have to clean up something, it's a lot easier and less noticeable if the marker looks very similar to the skin color of your puppet. So let's just go ahead and begin. And the tools that we're going to be using, obviously, we're going to use a marker that's very close in color to this, the anti-pill fleece.
we're gonna use this little Fisker's what's it called? Shoot, why am I forgetting what this thing was called? Whatever, you guys tell me in the chat. Pattern weights. We're gonna use our very fancy scissors from Ginghar, made in Italy, and we're gonna use a straight edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Oh, this is for making seam allowances, because we are going to be sewing much of this, okay? So we're going to be making seam allowances with this. Alright, so let's just go ahead and begin. Alright. Nice. So, once again, I like to mark up what it is that we're doing, okay? So, right here, these two ends get sewn together. We're just gonna, let me flip this around. Let me go ahead and mark this. This is our neck, so that's gonna be an N. We're gonna cut this out. We're not gonna need this. Alright. And yeah, I'm just gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you as we go along, okay? But again, I like to leave marks. So this end right here, this is B. This is where we're gonna be stitching, and this is where we're gonna be absolutely needing our seam allowance, okay? And also, right here on this corner, add 1/2 inch of fabric around the neckline. The excess fabric will be glued and tucked into the body. Well, this is where the straight edge comes in, okay? And it doesn't have to be super duper perfect, but as best as you possibly can. So we're gonna go ahead and that right there. And again, this is going to make sense once you start putting this puppet together, okay? I know I said 1/2 inch, but we're going to do a little bit more than 1/2 inch. But 1/2 inch should be okay. But we want to have this looking real good. Do more than 1/2 inch, okay? It'll be as long as you need, guys. As long as you need, we can always cut it, reduce the size later. Okay, looks good to me. Alright, and then right here, this is the front. So we have this thing marked. Now we're gonna do what we just did here, exactly the same as we did with the foam pattern, and exactly the same as we did here. So, if it's like this, it's gonna flip it over, and it's gonna be like this, okay? Alright, so once again, we want continuity from the neck to the opposite side here. We want a little bit of an overlap on here. It's not a big deal. All right. Let's get our pattern weights. All right. And of course, we're going to make sure that we got continuity down here as well. All right. This looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and get this thing finished up. And then we're going to add a seam allowance, okay? And again, if your continuity isn't perfect, it's not the end of the world, guys. It's not the end of the world. It's fabric. It moves around. You're going to be okay. All right? All right. This looks really damn good. This looks really, really good. All right. So, again, we're going to cut out this little piece here. We don't need that. Let's just go ahead and put an N right here for neck. And on this side, it's the front. And then these two, from this point to this point, and from this point to this point, this is going to get sewn together. And again, I'm going to show you guys how to do all that, how I do it. And again, we're going to add a little bit right here. 'Cause, again, we're not going to see this. Okay? We're not going to see this. This is going to go be tucked into the puppet. And it's going to help keep the skin of the puppet in place and make it easier for your hand to move about freely. perfect. Okay. Well, you know what? It's the... Oh, it's about 2 inches over here. Oh, it's 2.5. Well, let's just add a little bit. Let's just... Not by much, but we do need to... We probably should keep it similar. Squiggly lines here. More of that. Okay. So. Alright, now this is almost done. Okay, so this is the actual size of the actual body, the foam body, the skeleton that we made. So these little flaps here are going to be tucked into the top, close to the neckline. Again, this will make sense when I show you. And then the bottom portion, obviously we're not going to fold this beneath the puppet, okay? So we're going to add a little bit down here, okay? How long? It doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, it does, but if you want to give yourself as much as possible, go for it. But let's just keep it even, though. This will make sense later on when we start sewing this thing up. Okay, this looks pretty good. Actually, no, we're not going to be sewing anything up. It's a lie. Yeah, it's not down here, at least. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and write T for tucked. Alright, so now we're going to add our seam allowances, okay? So a seam allowance is basically what you don't want to do is cut this out exactly as is and then try your best to sew between these lines right here and right here. It's just not going to work, okay? So this is a relatively simple pattern to sew up. We're going to be sewing up straight here, all the way down here, all the way down here, and then just these 2 points up here. And that's it. Very, very simple. And then we're going to cut this thing out, all right? So let's just go ahead and begin. So to add our seam allowances, this is how I like to do it. How much you want to give yourself is completely up to you. So let's just go ahead and begin. Just do the seam allowances exactly where I'm showing you. Alright, guys, so we are complete. We are finished here. This looks really damn good, okay? And we're going to go ahead and cut it out. And I'm going to show you exactly how I cut it out. Let me go ahead and make some marks, like right here. Alright. This is going to look really good. Alright, so let's go ahead and start cutting it out. I'm going to be using my very premium Yinghard scissors. Alright, you guys, now it's time to go ahead and cut this guy out. Just really quick, something that I should have done earlier
We're gonna just do one slit between the croc of the arm and the bottom of the torso. So let's just go ahead, put our little marks here. Do the same thing on this side. All right, perfect. Another thing to be mindful of, we're not going to cut all the way down here because much of this gets tucked in. So we're just going to go ahead and like this. All right. Let's go ahead and start cutting this guy out. Alright, so if we have to, we'll cut a little bit more right here. Not too much though. On this side. This is going to get tucked into the actual body itself. And again, if we have to make more adjustments, we will as we go. Alright, so this thing is ready to be sewn. Alright, you guys. It's time to go ahead and begin sewing. I'm going to throw up on the screen exactly what part we are sewing. So I went ahead and pinned the material where necessary. Go ahead and pull that out just a little bit. Alright, so if you are interested in knowing, I am using 40 weight thread. And I am starting with the side of the torsos. It's somewhat difficult to notice. Let's see. Okay. Okay, this thing isn't right. That's a no-go for me. There. Fine. Okay. Go ahead and begin right here. This might be a little difficult to notice the lines here. But yeah, we're just holding the fabric together with these little plastic clips. So let's just go ahead and begin sewing. We're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. Alright. We're going to clean these up in a minute. Do the exact same thing.
Let's go ahead and do the shoulders. So right here. We're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. Alright, so now we are going to be doing the back. The back is arguably the easiest part of this entire build. So let's just go ahead and line this guy up. Bottom. Alright, so we're just gonna do one continuously straight sew down the back. Let's go ahead and get this party started. Alright. This is it, guys. This is the puppet. So now what we're gonna do, I'm only gonna show one side of this, and then I'm gonna flip it over, show you what the finished product looks like. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and trim. I'm gonna trim. You know, I'm not gonna use these scissors. Just give me 1 second. Let me use the appropriate ones. I'm going to use scissors like this, and I'm going to trim off as much of this as I possibly can, so this seats a lot better inside the body of our puppet, okay? And what you want to do is don't get close to these stitches, okay? That's what we don't want. We don't want the stitches getting cut up. Take your time when doing this, by the way. Yeah, I call this trimming the fat. Alright, so we have excess skin here. We got to trim it off so this seats a lot better. Here, let me just do it this way so you can see what I'm doing. See, there's a stitch line, just barely right over it, okay? Barely right over it. We're really cleaning this up, so you guys get the point. I'm gonna go ahead and do this all throughout where I stitched, where we have a bunch of seam allowance stuff hanging around, okay? So if you really want a nice puppet that's finished, you know, you want to do all these steps, okay? Again, you don't need seam allowances. You don't need to do this if you sew this thing by hand, which is totally possible, which would be the whip stitch. And I wouldn't really necessarily recommend using gray thread. I personally like the invisible thread. I think the invisible thread works really, really well here. And yeah, once again, I use 40 weight thread, made in the US. So yeah, let's get this done.
All right, so now it is time to assemble the skeleton of this puppet. The best way to put this thing together is by using contact cement. I am using DAP's contact cement that you could get over at the big box stores like Home Depot. That's where I got mine. The professionals, they like to use Barge. They like to use Masters. I think Barge is like the best of the best, especially for our purposes, for assembling a puppet. And I'm using these little squeeze bottles. I got these at Michael's, and I just put them in a metal can, and it's sealed, so it is safe to store in most places. However, I
recommend keeping this away from pets, small children, and especially yourself. This stuff is incredibly dangerous. Off camera, well, yeah, literally off camera, you can't see my head or my face, but I am wearing this respirator. I'm going to throw up an image of it on the screen. I can't impress upon the importance of safety. Building a puppet is incredibly fun and rewarding, but it is also very, very dangerous. If you do not wear the appropriate protection for your lungs, for your mouth, for your eyes, if you are not careful around the sharp tools that we use, like the scissors and the blades and stuff, like, you can get really, really hurt. So guys, please read the instructions before you start assembling your puppet, before you start doing anything. Always read the instructions on the cans of any of the products that we use, and we're using quite a bit. So yeah, once I am done applying this contact cement, I use this little glue applicator, this glue spreader tool, this little glue trowel. I don't know what it's called. I got it at Michael's. You can get this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann's. And yeah, I just spread it around like that. You can go ahead and use a little bit of excess contact cement. It's not going to hurt the puppet, and it's not going to ruin the skeleton of the puppet. Okay, just watch this video many times as you need to, and just see exactly where I put the contact cement for this specific pattern here. And yeah, I mean, if you put a little too much, it's not a big deal. Just spread it around with a little tool. The thing with putting contact cement on this high density foam is that it's very porous. Okay, and the way that contact cement works is you apply it just the way that we're doing here, and then after an extended period of time, I like to wait between 15 to 20 minutes, regardless of the climate. And I'm in a garage, so I mean, it's cold. I'm filming this in November, but I mean, it's fine. Just leave it out there, let it dry. Again, give it 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're gonna come back. Okay, we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna show you how to put this thing physically together. Okay, very fun, really rewarding. Everybody applies contact cement differently. Feel free to watch different videos on how people store contact cement, how people apply it. Yeah. So right here, we're doing the backside of the skeleton of the puppet. I like using that word, skeleton of the puppet. It's just what I like to call it. The foam is the skeleton, and the fleece is the skin. So yeah, the skeleton of this puppet, you know, like, we have to glue it exactly where I'm gluing it. And again, I'm being very liberal with my application of this contact cement. I'm not holding back. Again, the high density foam is going to absorb, quite a bit of it. But also, the contact cement does a great job of remaining on the surface. So the way, I don't think I finished my thought earlier when I was like, oh yeah, when you apply contact cement, let it dry, and then you can place it together. So we're about to clear out and transition over to the future, where after applying it, I did wait the 15 to 20 minutes. I think I actually went 30 minutes. Whoops. But it's not a big deal, because, you know, you're able to put the puppet together. All right. So yeah, just spread it around like that. Really, really good. You know, so we did the crock of the arm and the bottom of the torso. We did the back, and then of course we did the little shoulder blades, where the shoulder blades are, for this 3D puppet skeleton pattern here. But yeah, this looks really great. This looks really good. This came out really well. I was incredibly happy. And now I have these little painter tripods. We're gonna leave it there, and we're gonna wait 15 minutes. All right, get out of here. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm very excited about putting this thing together. So the contact cement is already dried, and this is what you have to do to really assemble this thing, really put it together. And it's essentially the two ends that are dried. You just pinch them together, just the way that I'm showing you. Feel free to watch this multiple times. So I'm aligning it right here. And by the way, I'm narrating this. I'm not really speaking on camera, because I'm wearing a giant respirator on my face to protect me from the harmful fumes of contact cement. So I am just explaining to you guys, just really watch how I am going about assembling this pattern here, this body pattern, this human-like pattern. And I know I call it a human-like pattern, but you can really make any sort of unique puppet that you'd like to. It doesn't have to be a human, you know. It could be this body with, like, you know, like a dog head or something. It's your puppet, your life. Do what you want. I'm just showing you how to get there. All right, so yeah, just really take your time. you know, there's plenty of videos of people doing this, and I recommend watching as many people as possible assembling or just utilizing contact cement and high density foam. So yeah, look at this. You're just pinching them together, making sure that they're aligned. If there's a little bit of if it's not super duper perfect, it's not a big deal, you guys. You don't need to make any further modifications to it. This puppet is going to be hidden by the fleece, which is the skin of this specific puppet. Okay, so it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Now, again, just I'm using virtually the exact same technique since I started, pinching the sides that have contact cement on together. I'm just utilizing the same technique, making sure that it is as aligned as humanly possible. Okay. The great thing about this process here is that it is incredibly forgiving. There's a little bit of wiggle room for imperfection. Okay, so don't be discouraged. Just do your best. Okay, I have a giant camera in front of me, and I am relying on a tiny monitor to do this, and I think this is coming out really, really great. And if you follow my steps and if you're patient and enjoy the process, you're gonna get results just like this. Okay, maybe even better. I know there's a lot of really wonderful people who like create puppets, who get into this kind of stuff, and they just have a natural aptitude for art and creation. So don't be discouraged, okay? And also do this in a well ventilated area. I also would recommend wearing your respirator, okay? Or just being outside. After this has dried, this has dried, it should be fine. I would give it a few hours before you bring this inside, okay? So this is it. Let's admire this together. Look how great that is. This is a 3D puppet body pattern come to life, and it looks fantastic. I love it. Look at this. It's like a little mannequin. This is a human body. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. We are almost done.
All right, so it is time to put the skeleton underneath the skin. So this is our body here. This is the front side. The back side has a very large seam. All right, get rid of that. So how do we get this in here as quickly as possible? All right, so what we're gonna do is take our puppet pattern, and we're gonna just go ahead and just bend it. Just do this, what it's gonna look like. Okay, bend it like that, or you know what, bend it like this. Well, it doesn't really matter. Bend it like this. Okay, kind of like a little hot dog. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and start placing it in here. All the way to the top. Okay, so now we're gonna release the hot dog, release the hot dog position, and we want the points of the shoulder blade to go at the tips of the skin or the fleece shoulder blades. Okay, go ahead. Okay, this is coming out really good. Coming out really good. All right, so now inside it's still here. Let me just go ahead and coil that back. It's still kind of folded in. That's not what we want, you guys. So we want to push this back out. So hopefully you guys can see everything I'm doing here. Okay, I'm just stretching it out, and I'm going to be doing the same thing on the inside here. I'm just kind of stretching it out. You can also help by stretching the fleece just a little bit. Okay, and once you do this, it's going to really seat itself right into the shoulder blades. Takes a little bit of finessing, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, it really isn't. And of course, we are waiting. We have waited already a few hours to let this dry, let the contact cement cure. Okay. All right, my hand went in there, my whole arm. Look at that. Went in there pretty easily. This is perfect. Okay, so what we're gonna do next, we're gonna go ahead and oops. Go ahead and push these out. Pushing these out, right? And then this is the back, and it gets tucked in right here. And this is the front, it gets tucked in right here. Okay.
there are a few things that we could have done a little bit differently here, and I brought this up in a different video, but you know what? We're gonna make the best of it. All right, so this will be here. All right, so first off, let's go ahead and acknowledge something. The actual neckline is like right here, so we're gonna give a little bit more relief. Let me get a pair of scissors. So now we are preparing to really glue this thing together. Make sure that the corners are where they need to be. This is great. Yeah, it just requires a little bit of finessing. Like right here is the side of the torso. Yeah, this is good. This is really good. Okay. So right here is the actual neckline. So let's just go ahead and let's not go too crazy, okay? Let's not go too crazy. Better. Okay. So let's just do it slowly but surely, because what we want is for this to really overlap with the skeleton here. Okay. We want it to lay flat on this neckline. We don't want to force stretch it, okay? We want it to just kind of naturally fall into place. So just a little bit. I don't need too much. Easy does it. Easy does it. Okay, that is significantly improved. Okay. So what we're going to want to do is really stretch this out, stretch these sides out like this. You want there to be a little bit of overlap. So right here, this covers up the foam as well. So just like this. Same with this side. We're going to do the exact same thing. All right. And yeah, I mean, we can certainly place a little bit of glue here. Push this over like that. Like that. Let it stay there for a minute. And then the rest will just follow. Okay? It's gonna look really good. I'm gonna do that on both sides. So yeah, this is the neck, guys. This is the neck. And then down here, what we want, and this is again, it's gonna look kind of yucky, but again, nobody sees this. So again, this is the back side. This is the back side. And we want this to, it's obviously this is obviously the rim here. What we're gonna do is remove a little bit of the excess. I like the front and the back to be as flat as possible. So we have these little flaps right here, right? I mean, you can probably do it like this, but again, I don't really recommend it. I mean, if we can remove some of the excess here, which is what we're going to do, we will, okay? And then we were just gonna glue this as flatly as humanly possible, and this isn't gonna go anywhere. This actually came out really damn good. So let's just go ahead and start trimming this. And I'm not gonna cut around here. I'm gonna only cut around up here, okay? Let's just go ahead and cut a little bit of this excess. Again, we're not going crazy with it, okay? We're not going crazy with it. All right. And these should just overlap, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut a little bit more of this off on the side here. Watch your fingers when you're doing this, okay? This is really dangerous. These are the scissors that I'm using are really sharp. And even some of the, other scissors from Fiskars, while they work really well, and I think their safety features are a little bit more robust. It can still be really, really dangerous to use. Okay, so just be really mindful of that. Okay, this is coming out really damn good. Came out really damn good. I'm really, really happy with this. Okay. Okay, so remember, we want the front and the back to be as flat as humanly possible. Because remember, our hands and our arms, they go through the center, okay? So they shouldn't really be touching the sides. If they touch the sides, it's not a big deal. you're going to be relatively comfortable. There isn't going to be a lot of the skin of the puppet really kind of protruding out. So yeah, we're just doing our best, okay? We're doing our best. And this is going to come out really great. Alright, let's continue to trim the skin, trim the fat. Alright, I can probably do that a little bit better. I'm at an awkward angle because I am filming, okay? So, let's see, where can we, let's just go ahead and do, okay, I don't really need to cut any more here. I can just go ahead and start trimming the sides just a little bit. Again, always watch your fingers, you guys. Always watch your fingers. I wouldn't want anybody to get hurt, get blood on their puppet. It'd be really weird. And this doesn't have to be perfect. No one's gonna see this, okay? Let's go ahead and trim a little bit of this guy too, I suppose. Alright. Man, I can't wait till we're done with this puppet, guys. This is gonna, or at least with this pattern, this is gonna be great. This is the foundation of our wonderful little puppet, okay? And, you know, depending on the fleece, you may have more wrinkles to cut and to even out. But for now, I think this is pretty darn good. I think this is really darn good. Okay, so what we're going to do is I like to use this glue called Fabri-Tac, okay? And I'm going to show you guys how to glue this thing up. The Fabri-Tac is kind of yucky. It smells really gross. So if you guys want to do this part once again in the garage or in the living room, that's fine. I'm in my my man cave, so it's not really that big of a deal, and there's quite a bit of ventilation and space in here. So yeah, dude, this is the body of the puppet, guys. This is it. So we just got to be really mindful, at least this part right here. So probably gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get needles here so I can go ahead and cover these sides up right here. Another thing that you can do is once you are done sewing right here, cut right here instead, not all the way, but like cut like right here, and then you won't have to ever worry about any of this here. You won't have to be super careful. But this works. This works really, really well. This works actually a lot better than I would have anticipated. Okay. All right. So let's get gluing. All right, you guys, we're almost at the finish line. Let's go ahead and start with the top of the neck first. So again, I'm using Fabri-Tac from Beacon. This stuff is pretty decent. Again, it's kind of yucky smelling. Wait for the glue to come down really, really slow. And I am almost out, so I can make a few more puppets like this. All right. So what I did is I put 2 little needles here to kind of pin the fabric so it's a little bit easier to the glue. So let's go ahead and just start with the back first. I'm being a little bit more liberal right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I know it's pretty dark. I got a different light to kind of make this better. Alright. Let's make sure that we really glue this guy really, really well. Oh no, I got Fabri-Tac on me. No. It's okay. Alright. Excuse me. Alright. This should be pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Alright. Now when we're flipping this back over, we got to be really careful. We don't want this glue getting on the outside of the skin because Fabri-Tac is kind of a pain in the butt to get off. Alright. And we're being, again, as cautious as we possibly can. Let's just go ahead and flip these like this. And boom. Alright, we gotta spread these out on the inside. There we go. Trying to be careful, not trying to get this damn glue on me. Alright. Alright. Let me get have wipes just in case I get the glue on myself, which is not good. No, we're gonna just I can just roll this off me actually. All right, that wasn't that big of a deal. All right, so I'm gonna head and just kind of massage it in there. Watch out for the little pins. Okay, so what we can do with these corners here, with the corners right here, just to make this a little bit easier, I'm gonna put a little bit of fabric tech. A little bit of fabric tech in this corner. And let me see if there's like a hold period here. We're gonna do one flap at a time, you guys. We're gonna do one flap at a time. Okay. It's this that I really want to get. I want to get this this neckline as clean as humanly possible. Yeah, as soon as I'm done with this guy here, I'm gonna leave this out in the living room. A lot bigger in there, because this is yucky. Ugh, yucky. Fabric tech. All right. Being very, very careful here. Again, we don't want the glue where it don't need to be. Alright. So now, what I'm doing is I'm just putting my hand up here. Putting this up where it needs to be. So I'm pushing up on the foam. And I'm holding this down in place. Okay. Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Alright. So now we're just going to do the exact same thing for this side as well. Try to be careful here. Don't put too much glue. It's just not necessary. Because if it squeezes out a little bit, it's no big deal. Just use one of these to just kind of scoop it away. But this came out perfecto. Alright, I'm going to hold it right here, like this, for about 15 to 20 seconds. So we only have one more thing to do, and that is the bottom. Alright? Came out pretty damn good. Really damn good. Go ahead and just stretch this guy down just a little bit more. Go ahead and wrap this guy up, okay? Remember what I said. The front and the back flat as humanly possible, and the rest will just fall into place, okay? Does it matter what side you start on? Not really. We can go ahead and start with the front, just because this is a little bit more more flat profile. Alright, so we're gonna start putting glue on the rim, the bottom of the torso.